CUA.
Joining us right now is my buddy. Jim Bottrell is here, and he is a trooper, guys. He has been battling the ick for a few weeks now, but you know what? Jim, we're so glad you're here. Jim has thebuyers.com. That's the website, the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team. You know him. He's all over the station with the world's best commercials, basically, about Gavin Newsom and how he's just sending us all screaming from California. Jim, thanks for being with us.
I think it should be jimhaspneumonia.com.
Jimhaspneumonia.com. That's today's website.
That's today's website. Jim has pneumonia.
But you know what?
Well, here, show must go on, right?
Even with pneumonia, you still got the buyers. So that's how tough you are. That's your
right.
mental
Jim
fortitude.
Has the buyers with pneumonia.com. There we go.
All right. So let's jump into it. Last night, by the way, the president, as you probably saw, addressed the nation about voter fraud. Now, let's talk about this ROAD Act, because President Trump's attention, Jim, has been on the Save America Act, election integrity, and that's what he's been focused on. He says he's not signing any other bills. And so this is kind of a bummer, because I think a lot of people are excited about the ROAD Act. It even had bipartisan support. Talk to us about that.
Well, push it aside, obviously waiting for the Save America Act to get signed, which I'm not sure may have become more difficult with the very unfortunate loss of Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
But the purpose of this bill, and it's got a lot of fat in it, but the purpose of this bill is to limit corporations and other, giant entities like China from buying tons of homes. So the premise is that if these large entities purchase so many homes, that reduces the supply of homes available for the regular person to buy. So using a simple supply and demand curve, you have demand and the reduced supply, prices go up. Now that's what it's supposed to do, and I say allegedly, because I personally, obviously, I'm pretty big in real estate in Southern California. I just haven't seen the corporations come in and doing buy and hold strategies that has really impacted that much. So I did a little research on this morning, and I just jumped on the old Google machine, and I asked the question, what percentage of homes in the United States are owned by corporate entities that own more than 350 homes? Take a guess what the answer was.
Ooh, that's a good question. What do we got?
The answer was, according to the Google machine, 0.59 and 0.7%.
Okay, that's nothing.
Yeah, so it's just not the issue. I know it's a big deal. I mean, the ROAD Act, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't hurt anything, but is it really going to fix a problem? No. I mean, Trump is not going to go after, he's not going to go out there and try and reduce the housing prices, because think of all these people that already own homes right now. You think Trump's going to go out there and decimate every single homeowner by somehow artificially reducing the prices? No.
No, you can't.
That's not going to happen. No, he's not going to do that. No sane person would do that. Now, there are a lot of insane politicians out there.
It is California.
But Trump's not one of them.
Okay. I was going to say, that's more of a California thing, I think. All right, so what
or New York City
or New York,
Seattle, or
absolutely. All right, so what are some of your suggestions on this?
Well, my suggestion on this one is, because what we need to do is we need to free up the inventory of homes that are for sale. So there's a couple things that I think that are causing problems. One of the first ones is capital gains tax. So right now, capital gains tax is set at $500,000. So if you're a married couple living in a property as your primary residence, the first $500,000 profit you make in that house is 100% tax free. Now, there's a problem with that. Here in California, having $500,000 equity inside your house is just not that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've owned that house for more than 10 years, you probably have that. And then you look at the baby boomers, their homes are paid off. They have massive amounts of capital gains. So that's the first issue. The second issue that's reducing the supply, that's driving prices up, is that there's so many people out there that are what I call rate locked. They refied their houses back in 2021 and they have that 2.5% interest rate. They're just not giving that up. In both of these cases, the capital gains ones that people just don't want to sell, because if they sell, they have to pay a big capital gains tax, or the ones that don't want to give a super low interest rate. Both of these people are living in homes that honestly don't fit their needs anymore. I've talked before about the clients that we had, that old couple that was literally sleeping on their couch downstairs while they have 4 empty bedrooms upstairs. They can't go up and down the stairs anymore, but they're not giving up their 2.5% interest rate. Well, they're probably also not only giving up their 2.5% interest rate, but they also don't want to pay a massive capital gains tax.
Sure.
These people, maybe they bought their house in 1985 for $185,000. Now it's worth $2 million. And if that was the situation and you want to go sell your house, the long-term capital gains plus state tax, 27.5%, 29%, something like that. If they sell their house, they have to pay the government $500,000. But if they don't sell, they don't have to pay the government anything. So one of my thoughts on that is that, let's increase that, because that capital gains, I can't remember exactly when it was where they set that $500,000, but it was a long time ago. I think that needs to be revisited. Either eliminate it altogether or make it $1 million. That will help, because you also have to remember the baby boomers, which own a lot of property in this country. They were the first generation to not only buy primary residences, but they also bought rental properties.
That's right.
And all those rental properties now have massive capital gains taxes. And if they've set themselves up properly and have trusts, family trusts, whether revocable, irrevocable, I have both. But now and sub corporations and all kinds of things that you can have, the DAPs and there's all kinds of things you can set up if you set it up properly. Well, now those properties will go seamlessly, upon your passing, seamlessly to your heirs, and there's no taxes. So now those heirs are going to sit there and not want to sell those houses either. So that's a problem. It has a lot to do with that capital gains and the rate lock thing. I just don't know how we get past that. I mean, interest rates are going to have to come down to where somebody's okay giving up their 2.5%. But that capital gains, man, there's a lot of houses out there that people really need that are just not being freed up because of taxes.
Yeah.
And remember that housing prices are high because of a shortage of supply. We just simply don't have enough existing structures. We don't have enough structures being built, especially in California, but that's another topic. And most importantly, we don't have enough structures for sale for the demand that we have for them.
So I want to ask you just a personal question, and then I want to talk to you about building and just why it takes so long and it's so expensive in California. Yeah. And we see it all over the place, especially with the fires and all this stuff. And just everybody talks housing. It's just not that easy. So I want to get there. But just a personal question from me, Jim Bottrell. I'm the person you're talking about here. I am married to my 2.3%, 2.4% interest rate. I refinanced as soon as I saw Joe Biden come, and I went, uh-oh, and I went and refinanced my house. I'm almost paid off in my house that I have. I've got another few years and I'll be totally done. Is it smart for me? This house doesn't necessarily fit my needs anymore. It's a family property. It was my grandparents' house, so it's got meaning, but it doesn't necessarily fit my needs. I'd love to move to a different neighborhood, maybe have a little more space. So is it smart for me to hold on and pay off, or is it smarter to just do what you say and bite the bullet and lose my interest rate?
No, if you were my client, which you are, I would tell you, it's funny, very funny. I'm the real estate guy that will tell people not to sell a house.
Yeah.
And no other realtor will do that, but I will tell you not to sell a house. No, what you should do, Jen, is you should make that property an investment property and go buy a house yourself that fits your needs better.
That's the
plan. And have that as an investment property.
And you have it at that low interest rate. And that's something that can really help with the housing crisis because we know that we're in one, Jim, and part of it, look, it's not all about inventory. I know maybe I'm not an expert here, you are, but it seems to me that everybody always wants to talk about this crisis being an issue of inventory. I think the government has done so much to just lock us in, hold us in, certainly, but building homes in California, it's expensive and it's slow. Why is that?
Well, I heard an interesting stat recently that in 2025, there were more homes built in Dallas-Fort Worth than there were in all of California. Think about that one for a second.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have, much like our state government doesn't have, we have the deficit issue. It's not an income problem. It's a spending problem. Our issue here in California, it's a building problem. The hurdles for a builder to build houses are just insurmountable. I've seen two reports recently. One, that if a master plan community comes in wants to build a bunch of houses, that with the permits and the fees, that ends up equating to, in the two reports I heard, where one of them was $148,000 per structure for fees and permits, and the other report I heard was that I read was $167,000. So somewhere between $148,000 and $167,000 per property in permits and fees. Now that's just, of course, that gets tacked onto the price of the house, but that's just if you could get them, right? The bigger problem is with all these offsets that we have and this land mitigation thing and all these rules that we have that make it so prohibitive for big builders to come in and build properties, which is what we need. That solves the problems because, they look at it and they go, they've got 49 other states that they can work on. 47 if you get rid of, Washington and New York. But that's fine. They can just go elsewhere where they're appreciated, where they're wanted, where they don't get run over and get bogged down. Because once they buy that piece of land, remember, they're paying interest on it, or they're paying opportunity cost on it, either one. But it costs them money to get in California. From the time they close on that piece of land to the time they put the first stick on the ground is about 10 years, which means they're paying interest on that for 10 years. Well, that doesn't exist in other states.
Yeah, that's rough.
So why would they build here? So the biggest issue that we have with California housing prices is our inability, due to legislation and all the rules and all the fees and all the processes and all the delays. I mean, as evidenced by the Palisades. I mean, how many houses are built there? Mm-hmm. We had something like 12,000 structures get burned down, and
not one has come back. There's one there, but they had started that before the fire.
Yeah, that's true. The ones that were started before the fire, there are a few of those built, but the ones that got burnt down, I haven't heard of a single one that's actually been completed. And it's been 2 years now.
That's right. It's disappointing and really pretty awful. These poor people will be out of their homes for 10 years, and at some point they just give up and leave.
Well, I think that maybe is the plan.
Yeah.
California's plan. I don't think those houses on the coast are ever going to get rebuilt. Because I saw I don't know if you ever watch Adam Carolla, but he's very much into that. And he was a contractor at one point in time. So he does know what he's talking about. Where he's talking about the caissons, the pilings that they're requiring for those houses that were on the beach, that they have to go down, I heard, 50 stories.
Wow.
All right. So that's your first $1 million. All right.
Wow.
That's your first $1 million. By the way, that house sat there for 70 years with pilings that went down 15 feet. But now we're going down that far, so it's just these rules, and then there's no way the insurance is going to cover that. So I don't think those things are ever going to get rebuilt. And I do find it comical when, Newsom and Bass are up there saying we're going to fast track everything. Nothing's been fast tracked, and if you go up there, you look at it, it still looks like a war zone. Some of the trash been picked up. That's about it. Now contrast that to Florida. I was in Florida on vacation with my family right before Hurricane, was it Helene, came through?
Yeah, I remember you were there.
We cut our vacation short because we said, look, we're just going to get out of here because we're just going to be part of the problem if we stay. So we have somewhere else to go. So we cut our vacation short and we got out, and we came in the house that we stayed in, which was a friend's house, by the way, a short-term rental, but they let us stay there. That house got wiped out. Mm-hmm. And we came back 7 months later, and that house had been rebuilt.
Wow. And it was already there. Wow.
It was back. All right. It was back. That house had 6 feet of water in it. All right. And everything was off. The car floated up, went through the garage door and went down the street. I mean, that house was wiped out. The house was destroyed. Yet 7 months later, everything's cleaned up and most of the houses are done being rebuilt. That was 7 months in Florida. And here we are 2 years in California in the Palisades, and we still haven't done anything except for pick up the trash. That's it. Still fences around. Spencer's still supposedly living in the Airstream.
Yeah. Or the Bel Air Hotel. But it doesn't matter because the point is he'd be living in his house if it hadn't been destroyed and if it hadn't been so slow walked. I mean, even neighborhoods that have still some homes, I mean, even just slow walking infrastructure. I mean, it even before you can even get to the building, they slow walk everything in California. And then you have to think they really do just want us out of the state.
It just doesn't make any sense at all to me because it's looking at all the tax revenue, just from their tax revenue standpoint, look at the tax revenue they're losing. But I don't know what I'm so far away from being able to understand. I don't even know what their angle is on this. I could speculate, but I don't understand it. So it's one of those things like I don't understand, and I don't know that anybody's ever going to be able to explain it to me.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because it really does. We were already in kind of a crunch, and to have entire communities just really like shut down with a big X across them, making them uninhabitable. It's not helping with the housing crisis, certainly in California. No. All right, Jim Bottrell, always great to chat with you. Jim has pneumonia.com. No, I'm just kidding. Look see, I made you laugh. I think that at least I got that going for me. All right, so Jim Bottrell will cough a little bit, but he does have the buyers, and jimhasthebuyers.com is the website that you can go to find him. Jimhasthebuyers.com, the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team. I hope you feel better, and gosh, thank you for all the great information today, Jim. You're a trooper.